Hello everyone. We're back. Sports Across the Pond with Carlo De Marquis, Nick Cicero,
Hello.
and Paola Marinone. Hello everyone. It's so good to
Hello.
be back, guys.
Yes, it is. I miss you guys.
I miss
Yeah,
you too.
You guys have a nice summer?
It was a long
absolutely.
summer.
Yeah.
Yes,
Carlos, I see
yes.
you. Carlo, you are everywhere. Every day. I feel
Yeah.
like every week you're
No,
at a different event. You are racking
yeah.
up your frequent flyer miles.
No, I'm trying to fly EasyJet as much as I can and trying to take trains when I can, to be honest. On the other hand, yeah, I'm doing really 10,000 things, and November is not no exception. I will be in Liverpool, then Rome again, and then Madrid for Sports Pro at the end. So an event in Rome, which is sort of about Summit, then Madrid for Sports Pro. Yeah. And Liverpool is the Monte Rosa organized event about product and digital. So
Cool.
for product people, should be there.
Yeah, the guy with the
You?
scarf is everywhere. Like, so,
You
but it's
start.
a bit of catch me if you can.
Yes.
Kashmir, if you can. Sorry,
Catch
bad
me.
joke.
That's a good one.
Okay,
Kashmir, you can.
people, folks, get serious. So
Yes,
we want to
let's-
talk about two words that were not exactly in the same place for a long time. So sport properties, leagues, people that normally sell media rights to the highest possible uh, level they can to, media companies in general. And the world of creators that bottom up was generated basically by social media, YouTube specifically, but others. Ciao, Ivan. Hi, Ivan. I think we will be together in Roma, I guess. On the other end, the world of creators, which has kind of flourished, like incredibly, even if I still have to understand, and these two people left and right of me know more, who's really making money there. But the big news is the NFL as a program to allow their own IP to be used by creators to basically create new content from there. And to tell all about the NFL initiative, maybe just because he's in the US, Nick Cicero, and then maybe Paula to tell us a bit more the dynamics of YouTube, blah, blah, blah. She knows. So,
Yeah,
up to
so
you.
I could go in. Yeah, why don't I just jump right into it and talk a little bit about some of the programs that we were all chatting about that kind of sparked the topic for today. So I think that it started really back around the NFL draft, where they announced that they brought a bunch of different creators to different draft parties and draft access all over the country. So they had some big creators like Dude Perfect who are getting involved with that, and that their I would say their season of youth, right? And in my opinion, I think that the NFL is probably having one of their youngest seasons yet in terms of marketing, maybe in the last few years. But the two programs that they've actually rolled out this season are pretty exciting. So first, they launched a Creator of the Week program. And so they were actually partnering and hosting different creators at each game in partnership with each of the 32 teams. So some of the popular creators who have already participated include Casey Neistat, who went to the Jets game, Mr. Beast, who went to the Tampa Bay Bucks game, and there have definitely been some others. The second is the Access Pass program. So, as Carlo mentioned before, now what's really cool about this is if you were a creator prior to this, you really couldn't use NFL content in your social videos, right? There were so many rules and restrictions. If you put clips up there, they would get pulled down by the social platforms. And they've all spent a lot of time and money on rights management programs to make sure that when they do partner with teams like the NFL, that they're actually able to legally use that content, right? But instead of kind of restricting creators from that, the NFL is actually starting to open it up. So they've chosen a select group of content creators and influencers to craft original content using the original footage from the NFL, that officially approved footage. And it's more than just like a branded content partnership where they're able to kind of like get paid to make some content on behalf of the NFL. They actually can use this in the monetization for YouTube, which is a huge deal for any creator on YouTube because that is kind of the bread and butter of a lot of their monetization. So the ability to be able to monetize a piece of content on their channel makes this an even more appealing program for all of those different creators to want to get involved with the NFL. So overall, I think this is really exciting. And then I think you combine that with the lucky break of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. And that's kind of why I think that the NFL is really pushing towards one of those youngest seasons yet. You have a new YouTube TV partnership with the Sunday Ticket that now they're trying to really attract those younger audiences to come in, and that new generation of NFL fans. So all of those pieces together, the NFL is really putting together this multi-channel YouTube strategy right now.
And Paula, maybe can you dig in into how this works for YouTube? So what happens? How are creators? Paula, we don't see you. Sorry to explain. Yes, you're there. So how does it work on the YouTube side? What are creators doing? Why creators could or could not be interested in something like that? How does it work in terms of the platform? I mean, it's all your stuff there.
Yeah, so before I jump in on how the thing could works for them, but works for other rights holders, I think what is interesting is actually to look a bit of the numbers. Just to give you a bit of context, I'm always the usual data geek at the end of the day. So I was looking at how many, what's the size of the channel of NFL, the main YouTube channel, for example. And then a couple of creators that are involved in the programs that they just launched. So to give you an idea, the main NFL channel has YouTube channel. I'm talking about the YouTube channel. I'm not talking about broadcaster or anything. Has 12 million subscribers, and they're doing 200 million views a month. Just to give you an idea of the NFL, it's on its own. Just grabbing a couple of names of the creators involved in the Creator of the Week. Katie Finney, which is a lifestyle creator. She has 3.3 million subscribers. Consider NFL, we said 12 million. And she's doing 50 million views a month. NFL, we said 200 million. And then we're another channel, the Merrill Twins. They went to Kansas City to the game, part of the program. They have 6.2 million subscribers. Again, NFL is 12 million. And they're doing 20 million views a month. So just these two channels on their own, they're doing 70 million views a month. And there were many others, but this is just an example. But just the sum of the two is 70 million views a month compared to the 200 million. And it's basically 10 million subscribers altogether compared to the 12 million. So if you read the numbers there, then it's obvious how it's important then for a league, a right holder in general, actually to get to those new audiences, because they have the audience, period. I mean, the numbers are impressive, but then it's also the demographic and the geography of the audience. How does that work? There are many different ways to work. How the NFL did it is actually on the complex version of it. They really went in big time. So it could be a very easy way to do it. You just open up the archives, and that could be for reach and monetization. In this case, what the NFL did was really about it's really to get the reach more than monetization, because they left open the monetization for the creators. So it's not only they are getting the creators to collaborate with them, they actually give them the full monetization, which could be real money there as well. And but it could be different ways to do it. Definitely, it's influencer marketing on one side, but then it's on the content creation and revenue opportunity on the other side. The numbers could really be interesting from both creators and the league perspective in the NFL or any other right holder, because if you think about the numbers, just to give the numbers that I gave you, just to give a bit of context, you can easily get 5x or 10x reach and then multiply the revenue, because that's how the size of the opportunity is. And it really depends on the objective at the end of the day, though. If it's really a reach, and I guess the NFL is really about reach and the new audience that they want to conquer. But it's really a number game, but a quality game as well.
So basically, what you're saying on YouTube, few creators are as big as the NFL, which is clearly not because the NFL don't know what to do, but clearly they focus their effort somewhere else with the media rights and everything. And
yeah, I mean, that's a different game, yes.
And do you think this is why it's happening now? Why it didn't happen before? It's a question of maturity, of the understanding of the value of creator for certain audiences. If you have a view on that.
I think it's as well a market maturity. So consider that the creators, well, it's both the creators being mature enough. They're a media company, literally. So it's not the kiddos that you're like giving something for free and then they just would do it for fun. They are businesses, they are media companies. So they know how to do things and make them happen from a business perspective. But it's maturity of the market on the other side as well. The rights holder would not consider that ages ago, but just if you go back like a couple of years ago, they're open to consider this more from a business perspective and strategic perspective. So that's why that's a good match now. It's going to be more and more in the future. I have no doubt about that. I think NFL is doing it on a very advanced way. And that's going to lead the way for many others to do it, and that's going to be we're going to see that for the next 2 to 3 years to evolve way more.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a maturity that the NFL is a leader in because they have such a large and wide audience, right? So in the past few years, in particular, probably in the last 4 or 5 years in particular, we've really seen the league and the teams themselves kind of push to create more shoulder content, right? So if you think about kind of the first wave when teams and leagues were coming onto the platform or onto any social platforms in particular, right, it was a lot of real-time updates, a lot of photo content. And then when we got into this new world of video, there was a huge shift of highlights and everything moving to all these platforms. And there are so many different media companies and publishers and all kind of competing around the highlight component of that. And there's only so much of the footage from a game to really go around. So that's where we've seen the NFL, as well as all of the individual clubs, push to become more like a Netflix, right? Develop franchises, develop regular series that go beyond just the hardcore fan, right? Expanding into the culture varieties, food, art, entertainment, right? All these different elements that bring players off the field lives to those fans, and their audiences have matured as well, right? Lots of the teams in most of these leagues, right? They have been around for a long time, right? So just like Oreo or any other brand that exists in social media, you also just get a plateau of your audience and you need to figure out new ways to expand. And so I think the NFL is also realizing that they can collaborate with these really powerful creators who have a totally different audience than they were looking, right? So it's kind of one of the areas where you can use this approach in both ways. You could be somebody so big like the NFL where you build and grow an established powerhouse, right? And then you go and spread the wealth around to the masses. And then obviously there's this on the flip side where there are tons of different smaller leagues that are really embracing this right from the get-go, right? And empowering content creators to co-create content or sharing different types of videos or even bringing them on board. And they're doing that because they want to become a grassroots brand, right? So you can actually take the same strategy and approach it both ways. But I think for the NFL, for them, they're kind of hitting that plateau that pretty much any account is going to see in social, where you then need to start collaborating to expand your following.
And do you expect more leagues or sport properties starting to do? I remember, I think it was like some years ago that AS Roma started to kind of recognize a network of creators, but mostly on social, not purely in video. I guess the NBA is doing something like that. So will this become an obvious approach for many, you think?
I think it's definitely going to expand. It needs to be managed with caution because you need to really find your own way as a right owner. So there's no one fits all, and you really need to find the right way and know what you want to achieve, because it really depends on the kind of activity you want to do and the why. So there are like doing because you have to do it. It's a proper nonsense. But if you really want to get new audiences or expand from core fans, for example, to lifestyle fans, so, or expand geographically. That's something that is really potentially very interesting. And as well, it's a revenue, it could be a really interesting revenue generation activity for clubs and leagues. And definitely every type of club and league need to look at it and understand if it fits with what they're doing. But the key thing is that everybody has fans that love that content, and especially with the archive content. So you might not want to do something with influencer if you're not ready. So if as a league or club you're not ready, just don't do it. Better. But for example, on the archive side, archives are there no matter what. They're just getting the dust, and you're doing nothing or very little with it. Generally speaking, when you work with the creators to create content, even if it's not going to the game, but it's just content that is there, it's evergreen, it's a money generation activity, and that's very powerful as well from a revenue perspective. So you can start with that is like a very low impact in terms of activity, but high return of investment potentially. And there's always going to be the audience looking for the content of the kick, the goal, whatever the action that is something that close to your emotions from 10 years ago. Those are the ones that are still bringing the big money in terms of their YouTube channel in any league of any type of federation or league or club. And that's always going to be the case. That's the evergreen on YouTube. That always works. So there are going to be more doing that, way more than like dozens and dozens are going to come definitely in many different forms.
Yeah, and I think it's important that not every league or team has to follow this exact same model. There are definitely some like legal implications, right? So it's natural that the NFL would have to be able to approve if a creator like Mr. Beast is going to go down and shoot video on the sidelines on the field, right? There are obviously some legal implications that have to be taken into account with that. And most of the time, like when you bring influencers to events, a lot of that stuff is accounted for, but it's more of, as Paula mentioned, more of an influencer marketing activation. So it's oftentimes looked a little bit less as this ongoing content monetization. And even if you're securing rights with influencers, there are all sorts of caveats that get carved into those contracts. But there are, you don't have to necessarily do it to the level that the NFL is doing it, right? You can also just bring in other content creators to help tell a different story from point of view. So that is another area that a lot of the sports leagues have been taking advantage of. So kind of working with freelance content creators who may or may not have what you might call a large level of audience, but a demonstrated ability to tell a unique story, right? And they're bringing a lot of these content creators to the games, letting them shoot content and then taking in that other angle. So I think there's a whole element of being able to partner with creators that doesn't always have to be the Mr. Beasts of the world.
Yeah, one question that I guess could be more so for Paula, even if maybe there is an angle for Nick too. So if a league really want to create a revenue share model with creators, is there a way to do it? And on the other end, if you want to extend it to Nick, what kind of analytics, because of your background, obviously, do you think leagues and creators can get out of something like that if there is value in this data? But first, Paul, I think.
Yeah, so it's more of a technicality, but it's doable. You need to have the structure to do it. What I would suggest,
I know a company that is doing something similar.
Well, I can't remember a name also. No, I don't want to definitely sound any commercial or anything, but I've been at YouTube for ages and that does my videos. And the key thing is that you need to do things at scale. If it's influencer marketing, that's a different story. You need to have the right influencer. It's more like a marketing activity. If you want to do rev share activity in terms of working with creators that are creating content, so that would be from 0 to 10, level 1 of difficulty, high ROI, lower impact in terms of activity. Just make sure that it's something that you can scale, because then the reach and revenue you can get is really way higher than whatever you are doing in-house, because it might be done in-house, but I've seen things that are very interesting, like sending screenshots of for payments, and like managing all these things with creators might sound easy. It might not be. I mean, if you're working with 1 or 2, maybe it's not a problem. But if you're just even working with 10 or 20, then it starts becoming a bit of a nightmare. Your finance team definitely is going to hate you, that's for sure. Like, whoever you are, like, you don't want to deal with finance because they're not going to like it. But there are technicalities and technologies involved, so it needs to be managed. It's rights management and the finance part of it that are like very important to get the setup right. Happy to have a chat if anybody wants to, but again, the most important suggestion is just make sure you think of a structure, whoever you work with, but have a structure in place.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like with the Access Pass program, it's more, and I don't know this for sure, but my assumption would be that it kind of, so for example, today, if Mr. Beast were to go and upload video from an NFL game when he's on the sidelines, right, the NFL would claim content, like claim rights against that, right? Or they could file a takedown, or maybe Mr. Beast video might get demonetized, right? Because somebody else has put a claim. The same kind of with like a music track, for example. So from kind of just like my research, without having spoken to anybody at the NFL, it seems like they're probably just whitelisting these creators, working with YouTube to make sure that these creators who have are listed under this program, right, they won't get demonetized if they're featuring NFL content. That's kind of would be my assumption. So they're probably working with somebody at the YouTube team that is kind of collaborating, building those whitelists together. And in this case, it seems like the NFL isn't so worried about monetizing those videos in particular. To Paolo's earlier point, they're more about the reach, but then it is a really nice benefit for those YouTube channels to be able to get the monetization. There are other things like obviously, like right now there's just claim reports, right? So today, if you're somebody like Hulu or somebody, that is the NFL, they have a whole other team that's also dedicated to going and all of the other rights for videos that they're claiming that are from individual creators. And those reports are pretty big and laborious as well. So there's definitely like some components for how you're able to go and do this, but yeah, being able to track, from my perspective, understanding what types of new audiences were reached, right? What types of, new creators were you able to promote, and then what was the growth on those accounts, I think are some of those core metrics that you want to look at as well to be able to figure out what teams and what creators are kind of benefiting the most from those partnerships. So yeah, why don't we open it up for some questions with the time that we have here? Do we have a couple of questions, Carlo?
No, I'm done. I think we cover it all.
Yeah, it was just Ivan. Yeah, we're gonna see you in Rome. That's for sure. Nick, you're not coming in Rome. That's not
Paolo's there, but Nick is not there.
Unfortunately not.
No, I think what we should say is let's keep an eye on what other leagues will be doing, but also of the results. I mean, that will be more on Paola, to be honest. Have a look at what's really, these great ideas, then you have to see once they're implemented. Does it move the needle or really not, right? It's
It'd be great for you guys to analyze that, Paola, like pulling all the videos that the creators are making and sum those up and take a look at some of how those might compare to the average NFL channel. I think we'll be able to see some really cool results.
Yeah, let's do like maybe a part 2 with some numbers.
A checkpoint.
Yeah, let's say in a month or 2, and then we see the data. The first data I saw, but it's very early to say, to be honest, because they launched like in September. It's basically 1 month. But the first numbers that I saw were interesting, but seriously, it needs to be we need to collect a bit more data, definitely.
No, I think maybe end of regular season can be a good checkpoint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, in a few months already, you get something, but it's gonna be cool to check it out together.
And if you're a league or working with a league, let's see more of this. So we'd love to see more of these programs. So I would love to see anybody watching this to take this away and try it yourself.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Then we are ready to say goodbye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. From rainy Torino.
As always. Rainy London too.
All right.
Ciao.
Well, it was good. Ciao, everybody. We'll see you all
Ciao,
next
ciao.
week.
Bye,
Ciao.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.